awe ta mo wo cha le ko dai ni pin ben en ma pan ma char jong kene TV de Bor pan Australia ka bo ka jam tin ko aka ka panda ka bo ka jam tin a che ka pan Australia ani ku tung to panda war work water bite ne pan Australia but e go da ka ta ne but pianda ata bai pan jiro Sudan mane barnamij ne ko le abiya barnamij ne panda yin ka bu lwel ne ko le ki bi wa jam tin ne ko le e ka me benda kir ma yadit ku jela vice de yeni Benjamin bolo million ka bi wa jam ne ko le manani ar ta we ka ret ko ko dai ba video da ba chier ku ba like ba taw am de kala du chien video Bor pan Australia we ko dai wa dia ani ar ret ba video da ba chier ku ba like ba taw a chani na yelo ya kin chuo kon queen bu le ne lon pia de ne chaloye en ke chok yen ne ko le it don't work na iran dai pandu when a family do war when a friend ku please ki lor Martin Jungro ba yo ke share na YouTube Martin Jungro kin badai Bor TV 10 ku kan yar ko ri ba share yin ki man na chana lwel twen ku le ka bo ka jam ko le aka ka panda ka bo ka jam ne ko le a chana ni ku panda ware ne bien be walk way ko ta pan Australia ne walk ke ci kwere referendum sandu ka referendum aka ci ke bay bay ta pan Australia a wachi kwere ene kene nyot binu yen wadde ki way citizen ka junub wachi lord di re chubu dier wachi pyo dum yara ret ne ban bay da panda fatan work na yukuta kulen ku yuku ping ka kira ting bay ku work way pyo jet ka work ne ka lo ret panda en ke chyo ki yen da ku way ko re ne diaspora anyi ku back home alan ko nyu gam ko ye ko ba gam family do ye ko bu kune school ye ko bu nguloy ka de kulu income do pan Australia ne wala support di da rate ne tan pan junub en ke chyo ki yen da kuma da junub bardu e wog lu la members ko ne pan Australia ne ala lui ko kala lui na kumai ko ka dune jechi lekina de ke citizen ne pan Australia ne ko ju ko man ko won tungen employment de to ne junub la ko ci la lui junub ci wala ko ci la lui permanent aken bala ben ko lan ko lui ya up and down bi mana ka wo de ko way connected to panda junub Sudan ko wato jeji ka je kuna kira na ki dugwar ka kala rang da le kale ma kale yenen en ke cho na ja du ku bala lui na kumai kin lui na kumai queen citizen in citizen ba itene pan Australia queen citizen junub ayin lui na kumai ka dia are loy na wo ka chan junub Sudan we still we connected one ke what they way ngadi what they way citizenity a young generation de en ka chibetoy lakin tang work ko way ko war pegben what they to wata panda the topic ne biwa jame ko le topic muhima rit ni ku 2013 mashakala ka chiro kon lo ni junub ku ka be solve na dor en ke chok yene ya kira mayadit peace agreement war chilo 5 vice president ake bu kwan ka lui kan yen rane first 5 ngade first vice president yen wan mi da Benjamin Bolomel yen ke chitaw ke first vice president ku to ke rane SPLM ke vice na SPLM kana war anim liap kana ban Bolomel nyoj war ko cha ping ke chira loy na junub ke chira loy junub en ke wa concern bu dil jam tin da ko bu weda bu wel tin ya achana panti e panda wadde ku ka pan to watin ku pan kana dit wapyo da red ku pan kana ni arku binu buta na dor ni ar red blang audios blang ka bo chan kamandan bi jam kana wog na kula e kamandan muhima red fan be din tete da bataw ban yun kan ko bur jow ma ku ba kamandan na kula ba ja introduce Wacha bal mot wacha bal lej ko dani pinyo ben kene TV da bor pan Australia kamanda ne kule bi jam kana wog TV borik e kod mano ba benyal welcome to Bor TV ben kod mano
Shukran Martin Jongror in Chile, China welcome.
Apa the rate wacha mot we ko dai wog ye kod mano e men pan Juniba Sudan yen e miska wog pan Australia ne Melbourne ne to watine in the capital of diaspora na lora irban ba ko ka ir ba ke ton ko kadia yo koto ne Europe ka yo koto ne Canada ka yo koto ne USA ke sidi de Melbourne yen ke capital of diaspora ala ngi junu gin bi jaret ku ware ni chwer ware ko ta ke chwer pan Melbourne ne ware chwer ko referendum e 2011 ku koto mano yene banda e forma banda e miska ka pan junu pa Sudan pan Melbourne or pan Victoria the position kana ke mu ku ka wanye mu apiat ku ci man ne chana lo ku kairo lo ni junub I was concerned ya de ko way citizen to ne way citizen ni junub ku way citizen ko Australia ban kot mano ya da yene lawyer lui kan ko ka pan ke lawyer man en ke lawyer by profession londena ci tiamaret ku ka lui ku ka wakon lui ke volunteer ke banda mane tangwe ka kulen ka biya kamanduan abi jam to ngel ngelis ko abi jam to mon jang kadia aben ka jam ay ko ke pinga de ka to ka ke ben jam tin a crisis rolo ne kam e ban Salva Kiir ma yadi ene banda ku jela vice president ene Benjamin Bolmel ke ne ka ben jam tin ko le ku we ko pinga dia around the world. Welcome back, Bangkok.
Thank you, Martin Jongror. Thank you very much. Martin Jongror in Chile, who viewers could die, TB all over the world. Topic in Chati Taban is about new China Vice President or former Vice President, Honorable Dr. Benjamin Bolmel Chine Nyoj. At the outset, Taban nanong ko bayen loyal ko nong viewers ke supporters Bolmel ko why ke we upset my opinions. I have professional opinions; they're not personal. And I also would also say a disclaimer that Bolmel in the Simda Okoji rule, and in particular where I come from, I wouldn't really say that a majority ke nyan wallen again chitiak, and therefore nairwai I'm also related, but will buy, and that cannot stop somebody expressing a professional opinion. Without further ado, I would say that Lonji Benjamin Bol Meloin Taban emission chi President Kir Game, I think it stemmed from a number of few things. One of it, Ranechol Chino Chebe, anong kunichi got zaman on dog high school, and that was probably more than 20 years ago. Anong expression too much ambition spoils a man, but little of it takes him nowhere. I think it is a classic example in Lebiloel. Taban pan if you look at it, rumors are chap, and rumors sometimes are the reality because of the fact that it's Indian information control. Then the rumors that have been lingering for the last 8 months, and she bang Paul Mill point up and she bang Kira Chigam, she empowered. And for a lot of us or a younger generation, within SPL proper channels, people thought that Ki Ravan Eran one something that was unprecedented in law, in a sense that anybody, Sudan, a live ban, and a live ban bind it being a vice president, and even Nabulu were in Bang Bolomel Tavan, as she bang it trusted, and there was a likelihood of live, in many years to come, the Jenapodo Palpin, Kulo, can only be sharp when they are, or can only be sharp a gum more entrustment. But rather, Chiran de Chiogal check Kinikan, gardage wo bakala cash out. Instead, when a gardage 1 million or 2 million is zero nichigatin, and he ended up cashing nothing out of that. Now, why Angichigan loyal is simply the fact that yen a chibang kira, and what we were seeing on social media and rumors in Chachakalo, it was almost like working against anything in Loy Bang. And some of them were, for example, in a decree, Luelgal Negachi Kwanyakal, rumors, Kweki, the way they were, then Bang Bolomel would work out to reverse that particular Ranchi Kwany, Bang Wallakoi, Bang advice, or whatever the way in the process and Kwany, and it will never sleep until be reversed, well, be something alternative about. Now, in any society, even Pandana Ayrton, could any a part of the system, no matter how you see that Banguchi Bay, there is a reason a banki and Banjai Tavan, and I think Binjoy are patient. Kwachi Pal bind the Moko Guchukul being eligible in the same way on Chigar and Mabor, Mike. And you don't work against Bindu, and I think that was one of the biggest mistake in Chirot law, and I think eventually it became clear. Now, the second mistake Dr. Benjamin Bolomelo, I think, is the fact that I think Chirot surrounded with a lot of yes people, and in any leadership is very dangerous. Any leader in UJ criticism only in New York, do it this way, and you need to be able to listen to the dissenting voices or the voices that are telling you the alternative opinions. Now, what we have seen is that he seemed to warn people that will probably bigger palm, whether Kolo or Chilo. You call them yes people, well, bootlickers in other language, and sometimes they're very dangerous. And we have seen the result of it in 8 months. And the fall he has fallen is unprecedented in a sense that a chitwing ko guche junti. So I think in fusion, it doesn't matter, Kiran Bequine will any bind into thing. They should know that you always have to have alternative voices. That should necessarily cause you in a problem. Non bungachol 48 laws of power, a jam isolation is dangerous. And but isolated, you build fortress and in Inomriado, then within fortress, obviously, in the olden ages when these books were narrated, was that a wall in a book, the Greek ancient wars, or Chinese wars, the origin both between to be out between And what happened within those confinement of those walls is that the chiran took twine, TB, or the twine, communicable diseases, well, the infections, karanbana twine, coronavirus were. And I think when a leader isolate themselves in a sense that actually be without being accessible to the public voices, public opinions, is always a set for a downfall. And I think that is another feedback level on Bany Bolomel, because there were a lot of complaints that were coming that he is inaccessible. Actually, kunachi yoga ordinary voices actually ping. Now, I think the other thing in Labayen Luel about him is that a Chigam responsibility, Bargazalai way. Yes, we can blame Bol for a lot of these things. There may be some excuses from his part that Ben Key or Kia Paul Beluyalang, well, maybe he has been doing things a key. President Kiir Lege and President Kiir, in a way, he may have been doing all these things for his benefit. But the reality, we have seen Kiir time and again are quite empowered, and rightly or wrongly, baka palol, baka loy, igam powers ko, baka lebaloy baloy. Now, in 8 months in the ball, Ben Paul Quine, we have not seen him, ichila orphanages, baka lating, a kay chat, below the chidik, bor, or below, long barrel gazal, or some other places, but in situation, Luko is suffering, Gadishim in long agriculture, he was the Minister for Economic Cluster. But even, how can he help Morton with tractors? Kuluka facilitated Chan Bikoila Por, Wany Por Mashariak. He has not gone to Minikanisa, Abuna, H.O. Peter, into Jubakan. He has not gone there by a bear or orphanages, Bakalating, where Taino Mulabagamke. He has not gone up in conditions of the road, Bichaga says, because a Kanishigame contract and to be able to assess and condition the road to Ding Twang or Ding Twang. He has not been able to teach Juba Teaching Hospital, but Ting Amuna Koi Kwangujo or Koi Welmongolio. Now, as somebody, Chok Junub Ye Changong, Robongong Gadi, we hear millions of dollars abo. Abikatagi JP, they will go overseas. Now, rumors had it that Jen Uganda Shibai, and they were receiving, our rumors about $200 a day. If these rumors were right the way they are circulating, and we know that, South Sudanese are top, it means that public opinion will turn on yourself slowly over time and in a way that is very disastrous. And as a result of that, we see the consequences of what has happened. And the consequences means that, the grace initially elevated thing all of a sudden is shattered, and you are an ordinary person, whereby sometimes you have to listen from the experience and being able to learn from that. Now, Sudan Daban is Dol, and I don't want to give commentary without the people to ask questions. Sometimes interaction if you're on a television or a TV like this, when you ask me questions and I'm able to answer them so that I can at least be able to satisfy the audience. Only big daddy. So on a blue pause from here, could be ping, none on questions, specifically in relation to this narrative, that may have led to former Vice President Chini Nyoj and a lot of disaster with our public opinion against himself. One analysis, I think, in Cheluel was that we can clearly see that Adut Salva Kiir, Minukwanya role of Benjamin Bolomel there, where has been able to go around places, Chirom Gabelir, Chirom Gege orphanage, quite meet the orphanages, I charge the Chilo prison, and this thing, at least there is some assessment in law. Whether non-go in the abolition go at least the public is able to see that I think, and is assessing suffering with our population. Now, Tongichilul on in a dude which was something when Achilul Wujam, she's there to listen, criticism right or wrong, whether on Bejam war and Bejam war. Now, Wadai public, we're not saying the Bangala Pem going for the sake of it, but public adai, you'll see it upon public at all over the world, which is the of Sudan, and they'll be able to make that criticism rightly or wrongly. But I think that is Akakawunchi Polomil really denied. Akirod more to call you bigger leg, and at the same time, a key chat the population, Benanga Libagame. Musaichwa daman COVID where China was building hospital in 7 days. Now, panakimi jubatana anong some building work likakto lebika bu state of the art. Wala in Sharia baragzala we lebichak chora guchi rule wala rumbe wala toin. Na chok yala dark wala je yilari yala kiya da guchi by pandena will ke changi yal nong chilo lakin the state of it at the moment is zero. So clearly, you know, achi made yal in a law in pel. In a root job, in a root by pandon, in root binding, and all these things have culminated in a disaster that has happened.
Yen ka ban ko tin chu ba le chu ba mo e yen je ban bol mel lang bai ka bar mi na kwanyen ku ta toyen kan ban a kin opinion do a cha luel yen ko we ko dai wa dia an be ko ta ba ta pin ba mo we cha ba lor we ko dai wa dia kene TV de bor pan Australia kamanda ne ko le e ban ko to no e former South Sudanese president of South Sudanese community pan Victoria e pan kana chemu ku pan kana jaman na chana lor le yen Victoria en ke capital of diaspora en ka to junu win bi ka to tinare ku walk away ko to pan Australia no Sudanese community or South Sudanese community e to watin na lo ele Sudanese community bi man work kana South Sudanese community before ma ben junu before ma ben ben bay work before ma ben junu ben bay ke Sudanese community eta ban ma chen bay ben bay war 2011 en ka chen jal begir bi South Sudanese community work ko way ko to na Melbourne ko to ko Australia. The first thing that you call on 2008 ban wani iga kana deng mondit kujela honorable abuk abe ben abu name pan Australia na abe ben by then on that time three region in ke lui ko represent kujela jinda wachi wani achubulum kerani Equatoria achan way South Sudanese community way region ke dia ba fa wani ben ke speaker of the parliament in ka chenu ben ku tew ku deng mondit kerana barazal ku jël ku jinda jël ku baat consider go jinda go yen ngadi go yen alanil ko ko on awobe name 2008 and that why in kaina korba lewe ko way audience way connected to junub ku way lui wan ko junub wani on bi non a big rank ne junub en kay speaker na berba ben pagana mum kamu kaspele e ben aberba ngadi aberba to ke chief of staff en ye hosmai e ben tan wo ke wo ben name tin pan Australia ka chu blor ku jela ko bi ko abade ke ngadi ke be ke ti loka bium de man ne to ne ngadi on you officer loka bium e ben tan wo kene bane nyuot bi no ko wo ko way ko to e ben ko da ba nya e we nyuot bi no ko wo ko way ko to no Australia no way connected to home e man ka china ran chu ba bay the last run in the bawar tan wo ngana lang ko to na ba nya the last run bo tan wo ke yen Monday ti ben tan wo ko tin war ke ambassador lekini manela ngadi ela minister on chen ben den ka the last official be ben tan wo akela na parliament tan wo ke ne ko ka chu lor ne ko de we ko to na Victoria the background ya lele ya lan ko gelo ka gareten lekini ba ni bin wo ko we ko to Australia we connected to home ko home connected to us ku ko ka ben tan wo de ana lan ki chiro lo junu ke wo ngadi work concern kana atoya ben court abla twen yene jam ne kunche ne bolumil ne kunche ne kwan ne ngadi ne totoen war fa yen ben bolumil totoen man tiyoka yuwo yude yin ki ne ban yong yen ngadi ka nyaay ka de renke dia ka nyaay ne once mafruض يتوك بلوم كبتوك بدون مفروض يا فايز بنياي تانين كدون اس بي ال ام كدون دبور كان جيج واين بنكيرين كغادي ين كو وoj كدي
Yeah, by Martin Jongrori Chale, Taban, I know a lot of information is circulating online as to why a banki or something like that law. Taban, in leadership, if you look at it, Chanbaran law is something like that. In a the Arabian Kulul Khan, Bang is transient. Politics is transient. What I mean by that is it can move from one to one. I think the one who had road for 25 years, Achirani Jegal John Garangamobio, or Level in Gatiera, who is Aaron legacy bena ending, and therefore Salpakir pick up. Zaman Salva Ben and another person will definitely come. Ube pick up a new era. So Kishibanki Lloyd, you can approach it with a few of analysis. Now there are rumors that Dr. Benjamin Bolmel was probably maybe too ambitious, and although I think press release she and God there were attempted coup or whatever, but it was very obvious. For the first time in Dr. Benjamin Bolmel in South Sudan, Chan Bajal Pingala non ke kalul gala non camable or non cam, Dudwala non cam, other ordinary people. I think his robbery for the very first time was his scam. So a number of things actually within very short time. Nasser incident and the way it was handled, actual law that led obviously to almost a near collapse in the making collapse of the transitional peace agreement between IO, KKG, IG, which is the two SPLM parties, KKG peace by after 2013 and 2016 war. Now, and I think that's why I think natural palping who Ryugo Banki until zaman bin the bind the Begeri ko Bagamran that because and we have been through war for a long time. Otherwise, Munjang for Kuja, South Sudanese generally. So they're there for a reason in Pelke Kechi, Nankuika Big Loy. Now, after Nasser incident, almost all appointees, you look at the decree within the government, they almost have to be loyalists with a rather than being loyal to the system or to the country. Now you see finance ministers are BKK people that have to be loyal to him. You see national security personnel are BK people that are loyal to him. You see all undersecretaries are BK people that are loyal to him, to a point that if you listen, you are on the ground in Juba, that if somebody comes in a very wrongful way, the a loyalist Bolmel will not sleep or will work extremely very hard to make sure that he reverses, will undo that appointment. This thing I took away the Kojuj Pope, including, for example, Nye Paul Nang and the former person, Dana Turjung, for example, and then Dana Turjung Hibavinya could be Paul Nang. This created a lot of rivalries within institution and within the system. So in a way, if you read it, there was only one interpretation, that this person was destroying the institutions to serve individual interests and none other than his own personal interests. And personal interests, when you banang your personal agenda law drive. Now, oil apparently was flowing to some extent, despite the fact that Tongchiro law along Shimal Sudan, which is northern Sudan, there was some oil that was still flowing. Now, Banya, I think there was reporting that oil was not flowing, but it became apparent, the one where Chinichol, as Under Secretary be reinstated back, which either fired the next day without even signature. But if you read all the commentary that are happening on the media, and Bolmel was implicated in that. So, and if you see the way he was actually undermining authority by, he was projecting himself that he was the emerging leader, and his takeover was so aggressive, and even if Chichoka subtle, if you said it was subtle, different, it was so aggressive and challenging. And I think Muindide sometimes pretends as if he does not know what he's doing, but because of his, I think, intelligence background, he seemed to know what was going on. Well, he opens his ears and he's following a lot of rumors. Now, the last thing is the destruction of SPLA, which led to Niall obviously leaving. And you see the way he came and the way he dismantled, the proper bureaucracy. Banden and Gani Wani, other key leaders. And within duration of 8 months, there was a lot of outcry compared to the Manchi Ranchit Wani for 12 years or probably a very long time, loyal under Ranchit Salva Kiir. So all these things, Taban, I think can only conclude to one thing, that Ashinya, vice president, Kunye, Bila Twainko, because some of those promotions, there were rumors, and I think rumors, Janub, are not far from the truth at times, that he may have actually promoted himself, obviously. And when being found out, he just had to endorse it, whether they are right or not. The matters of public opinion, but those rumors were there on social media, and they were also circulating within Juba. And sometimes these rumors is just that they somehow true in their nature, but I check it earlier, be wrote in a proper channel, being communicated thing. Now, eventually, it led to him being expelled from this institution for Vishen power, because I think if there's anything, I think we have read him that this person is very dominant and can be quite aggressive, of which not on a bit of chances pelike, I think there's a likelihood that he can over dominate and he can fail a lot of things. And I think that is why Ben has seen that obviously there's a lot of misdeeds, because I think the mother of all humiliation, situation between Kokudabo, all of that. I think where Tekoiror, we grew up in the war, even between Kokunongo, Wachaloy, at least a little bit pole a captain or a little bit pole a commander within those rank, rather than be a 20 ban be other junti. When anong rank chini a full general where when she entire cook when she quite annoyed, that would have been. But I think there is far more bigger situations, and those situations can only be read that either, for example, this person was probably maybe planning a coup, as there are rumors, whether they're right or not is a matter of public opinions and people who are privy to those private information. I think my last comment is that Bolmel has been an architect of so many things. For example, Tumaini Peace Initiative and how it failed in Nairobi, being Malong, being a big Yamakoi. Bolmel has a hand. There are allegations that he has a hand in a way that those peace initiatives did not proceed, because banning Malong will then threaten his political climbing. Yeah, Kolokor and humiliation that was done to Kolokor. Kolokor has been loyal for the last 13 years, serving Kir. And we can see in 8 months what Ranjit Bolomel, Kichelo, for example, compared to 13 years of Kolokor, being that a loyal diehard and a very loyal national security general, which Bankir served a Twainko compared to what has happened to Bol. And I think his downfall was somehow engineered by Ranjit Bol. Now you look, there was a video that was circulating. Deng Dudukor is from Tweet Mayadit. There was a video that he shared about a China God where Rajaping Chi might that Bolomel, a Chinyande Chikaka, a Chik Bankir Chikaka Nyande, to the point that Nyande Kira Jor Binyande Biagit and Achinok. If those rumors are true, it means that this person, Taban, would have really gone far and beyond in terms of being so divisive, in terms of being manipulative and aggressively a good manipulator. And I think if you are caught out, there is only one answer to that. But marriage, I think, Jalolun, Ruin, Kupelin, Kudipo, all these characters, Tongjing, even when we were growing up with Monjang, the values, when these are biases, I check on a Kapoiko Chan Bakayalo, Kulu you caught out. I think punishment is that extreme annihilation, and this is what may have happened. And I can only speculate I'm not an expert, but these are the realities and commentaries we can observe from what is happening at all levels. Juba, social media, and other people that you are able to hear them from within Juba.
Okay, wabla. Excuse me. Wabla break my wabla.
Your sound, Ali, you should mute.
Okay. Ali, you sound at in the champion. Okay. Okay. We have a lower we call die with the opinion ban. TV the Bor Pan Australia. Ben called the kin canoping. Okay.
Ben I think your sound at off.
My sound at on. Can the garden pinch and we call die with you? My sound is clear. We call die. Garga pinch and we call die. Okay. Apa dah redan berdiar bayung ketau kuan berkot apa yo ku ngade berdiar apa ketau. Chapa mudu chapa lor we kodai wudia e yijik pani Junuba Sudan ata watin chaman na chana lwel na Iran pe ben kacha lwel na tuyengu lele yen tatawa na ere na wai pati Junuba Sudan aware ni kwera koch bi referendum beloy wo gwa chi kwere na vote kwa alo kakala kwen kana vote to na ko Junuba Sudan wo gwa la identity yi wa kwero no e kira loyon e chu loy baitene en ke chyo ke yen ka masulin ka Junuba e ruon ka kinon ka kin wa ka babay lekin terwara ke yu ke bay the last run e bawar lekin e bo mission akuma yene ambassador ben wakti ne war ku kala loy man ke ngade ke minister of foreign affairs ku Indonesia ke bentatin for what connected to Junuba Sudan en ke chyo yene da lan kira loy ti man me jatin di tira loy ko wa lang opinion ne da wa che jam CSA wa che opposition we are not opposition but pir panda ayi wa jamtin wache jam kira raja benyai ku kira biyela ku bra loy la ka ki wa ka jamtin lekin we ka panda ai mata sa tan work ko wa citizen pa Junuba Sudan ana jam ko ne radio community wa jam ko wala ngudut ku kay ku loy professionally ku wa wache Iran corporate CSA ka kalang yi biya joining another parties but community en kaya kuma ku kalang hudunin community yen jamtin ran jam kan wa ka kula e banya community na South Sudanese na paana Victoria ne ku ko Victoria ka ko bi around the world manalang yi bi wede bulwel ke man Junuba Sudan ku ke man Junubin a che ke mu en ke chok yene de lawyer baite ne ka biye ke loy ai luo ko ka ye ke loy mer ka luo ka waja mane enyin ti to work manaba benyal court I hope you know yen che my sound ya clear ko cha tinga mute ka ba unmute Ben Court, Lured and mute.
On mute, thank you. Yes.
Okay, apia the rate. Kaka technology ra ko loy ke. Apia the rate lang background ni tang bolmel.
Background of bolmel taban.
What I mean, chaban wa talk of SPLA you are. elang a big rank cuman ko wato high command cuman commanders unto in the field cuman ko woni inde bol military ngadi e to ko ki
Bolmel and thank you, very good question, and in fact I know we answered. Bolmel zaman on Dido majored, and I think Nathio member of the Red Army, Armor, that is what you would call him. And I been a band, quite been did through Catholic Church, you gabuna madol, I been a band nyal, what you told God. And all of a sudden, Taban, that is the extent of it. Koi did work mukbai, I were obvious, and no koi were chavro okay, work at nyanya, and we were very young, but we were able to read and know every single situation in Lorad. Now all of a sudden, Taban were Chibinar and when business is a bang, or something that effect I take a benamuk, I got a lot of contracts. And from there, she gam Baragzal Highway and probably Shawaret, Junub Sudan. All of a sudden, Taban Ashiban gam sanctions because of his actions to Kaunga Gloike. Taban, when they sanction you, they look at your bank account, your sources of money and wealth acquisition within a very short time. And I'm very sure for 20 something years or part of the system, they're very easy to really suspect that something is not right. I should been can where I've been a she been trusted, whether through their own personal relationship, who coined their vice president after Nasser incident, who coined all of a sudden, one war, who coined in the deputy, but SPLM, and all of that. There is only one thing that can come, a sudden sharp rise within a very short duration. Actually, on Manatavan, Yagan go black the Jin it is your own blessing, but the worst part is if you are blessed to rise within a very short time like that and all of a sudden fall like the way it has happened is unfortunate. And I think Banjbol Mill can only hope that if he ever get a chance to have a political comeback in his lifetime, he should take this as lessons. Like he no longer SPLA were in a majority, and he was brought. As I said earlier on, we were hoping that it was a hope to a lot of younger generation on Chidi, Ranchida, Apiogo in terms of run, or Bethio Kakajun Kakatayanom, in terms of seniority SPLA. The Nichen Open were Vinyay Louis, who met by be services and the Ganachigam economic cluster. We need quite chopping with yogi system justice system with chopping benang law and order. It would have been really very empowering. But unfortunately, he did the reverse and very little of whatever he was empowered, and that have obviously messed up the whole system. Now SPLA hopefully will do a proper system there. When I do a proper system, people like you and me, when you trusted in the future, is highly unlikely that in Labour Band within that very short period to rise to that level. For instance, I'm not saying you and me, I'm saying Koikok on the ground, a lot of younger generations, a lot of other people when within Juba. So it'll be very difficult because the lesson that can be drawn out of this is that you need to be a proper, well-trained system, institution, have respect for leadership and your seniors, can baben within proper ranks and be by that quickly, because now Bolmel has disturbed the waters for such sort of dreams. Or any other person because sometimes experience is very important. I think that was very visible from the way Gerard Martin in the 8 months.
Okay, after the rate, what you told you would talk now. The 1 hour that I told you don't give 10 minutes. Can I remind you call will pink again in that happen? Been away copying with their Nicola co walk away me the Panagin of Sudan. Panda is a tongue a benton. Cooking at Kuar, what their Kaway Koto, Panagin of Sudan, and at Japan and at Benbay, Kuam Panda, Bujal Vir, and Keke can walk. While Jara Young Nialis 2011 war a development ke bijala kubujala is stable. Be on war ke chike wan kadia buka bidutin. ku be bai bi jal wir bi apa nu la lo ka unfortunately kairo lo tin man a ko chala twen especially in 2013 e ko do chien ka war ki ka chiro lo war ka nasir ku jela won bi ko a ko ja yi ke do chien en ke chyo ke yen yada ne man mai bai sometime ko ka chi chata pet man lo ni cher a chi chata pet ku jela crisis ke lo rut ka ku kene ba ngwen yani ware ni chene bol mel war nyu chien war nyu ke monjang chin koyos chiro lo ko cha save bol save ko ja ai save chin mikla ran ke e bi position ku ber nya position e mo fruit kwen ke lam chene bol mel lam chene lom even though che ranga che ka nyai ka dia ki yina kuma ka ibe nya kwa kuma ka ba nyai ku le yin tena ken ba di kan yin bar ro fa kana yu ku lo pet ko e monjang lakini tang jur ko ena nyu jiran ke kala ban ke miskala kabir dakal dawla ku la ban ke ya resistant ki renew ku ka charin wen bu ko bi luoi na kumai for example la che ngati inquietatin all the time inquietatin all the time yani le badila wazira kul min bi wa pan Australia how many prime minister ki take how many premiers ki take dakal Victoria ne how many ministers to ke ping tungu bi wa Biden en ke chok mayes ne kunye ne ka kwan fatan wo ga Junuba Sudan bi kwan ki ne mayor wala bi kwan ki ne commissioner wala bi kwan ki ne minister e ka dia aka ro wo ja che ka ye pidu aka yin ka saving ne run ka dia run ka wan run ka di ku beri nya ko lo pir pidu ne e pir nun ter a chare lo ya lo na kuma elo ni lo just for a period of time a che ki chole to won fa tang ko tang wo ko wai junubin kon ka chulum wai mon jang na chi kwanye ko kini wazir ka de ka kwa ku chi ka nya ku wazir ka de ka bay en ke chok je chi chare ko ta ke nyuo ya na cha ke cha liwa wala cha bergadier wala cha ku nyu chin khalas ke tuk tem do tuk ku lorting pi du nda kenen ka to ka tin a che guarantee bi no ba chol toten ko che de rit a mon jang ka che de rit bi no yen lo na kuma a yeni kwanye man ku beri ba nyoj e man a che cholo ta kana ani ar ko rit ko e mon jang burata lo ya ben kod mano apa ben yal bilas remark de bebelwel ku bu radio butia ben welcome back to Bor TV akor barra das remark de bebelwel ku butia.
Thank you, Ben Martin Jong Rory Chale. Message last remark la balwela non Ben Kir. You know, Iran, which you Kwan Yi leader, you have to set institution being non accountabilities. Yes, Achalwelu no Ogachi against him, Ogachi against SPLA because Ogadi within SPLA, SPLA in a worker, SPLA in our uncles, in our brothers, in everything that we know. But the Mukbai, I think the Nekungot Nade, the one when we were out, Bukben, the man referendum when we voted, we all voted here and we contributed Chanbe, South Sudan be a country. Now, in Baindaban, a legacy in a bill, and I think the way leadership of Banki thing, while he can, he needs to revisit the legacy of Nyangping because nearly there are reasons any GAM leadership for some time. And she, because John Garangobor, his legacy is that Achabai Chiluel for 25 good years and deliver us CPA Chogun Gambai. Now, Kir's legacy may be referendum for self-determination in Logbe Bungnang, South Sudan. But now, sometime young and Lord Junub and the way Chiatin, Monjang of the Ao and Monjang of the Ao, Koiloi law within Bargazal the Ao and Chinkola law within localities. This thing I call Babang Binati that none of one the Ao cutting chopping, a long chopping. For example, a team within very short time, even concerning which is public in an outcry, cut them be fixed. Clearly, he has the possibility to live by benefits. possibility ben Sharia ben ke both Malta Junub Sudan di the millions of dollars. Now to payment even for 1 year, kichi rent to low long leg state that none on qual buy. Come for example, the chit on a good young at the man John Garang Roar. Louis said, let's say 1st of January 2026, that Sharia abut kabika tuum unanong guruchi baby gam particular company. Uleran whereby like a more in a game open firing squad could be beji along could deliver the way it was during SPLA days. I think a shower you know be called. I should lebele loy a banyu by and is set could be ran ban bija bot yo kunana ranu dongoko ko chi chal what in amnesty. Then people have to lead by example by a panda and I would think the Ongmal London book shop shawaria pod ni arabat pod good air conditioning, good houses, good education, good employment. A human being in local bill, human being a kawaja. Watching currently a good African countries at the moment, Burkina Faso, young person in Jabantin, while looking bill. So I level like banki rujakoito that is there is a lot of work to be done, and you can set the tone and you can set the system. The same way in decrease nya sharp jor kaluka decree out the same way leben things when ka fix. In any event, I chỉ luôn để cho lôi bên quay quanh chẳng bị bên lùi, but yes, always along to win in not falling on a leader because I anakal even as a lawyer, for example, unongan junior lawyers under my leadership unong I have to take responsibility, and that responsibility rests with me. Chan be fixing system and Levan Koitin, Ben Martin, and in Challenge Gijina about Bor TV.
The last word, the last question about the teaching, yung labadil labol mel.
Level ball mail, and I think it start first of all Ranchit Kir. Taban if it was is making in a nye ball mail which you work a time because Karolo you know sometimes I very difficult. I think two things I can like Ben Kir before Ban Jam about ball mail. Ben Kir in a way, for example, ball mail you see him ball mail where he refer to Baba Kir. So that personal relationship was there. And also there may have been some decisions or some of the actions which may have been come from directions and he did them some of them nominated. Now Chanbaran Chobu Bani could will cook down the rest which is something let's say gale coup or other bigger things that you can no longer cheated the thing. Edichi bother the thing when actually being humiliated because at the end of the day Tiran that were unong let's say for example be the panden jika do ting which is sharp lo kakaya political ribai kabe and we saw kichiro long Sudan hemetika kege buran aka wona ba dai were nim pin so in Iran both on chile bine humiliate les yes a level mai a level nyai vice president lakin kwel ke ale baga tege jite lo ko ro ra chegalo ba jundi be cho by a private straight away. So that I think is a bigger humiliation. Which pot that Lebanon like bankir banye jala question. Eta garang mubor chin where which be banachin and you don't do things so when panyang rampo for two reasons. For example, no koile become mugnim yang nam ya kaberga belo bor nonge or koi roige kege because I have bad national examples. At the same time, initial Louis Cohen lebi koi rio jar koi lui ke because an akalwa kwanye vice president I'll think twice. I'll think twice because tagachela bagame ben because it could be another humiliation kubara destroy yedin on live kakaye kating kubi ka both. And Chibol Mela Balega is unfortunate that in Shigam a golden plate. Shigam san Shilo Edap which Shebianom and Etiogonijatathin, that is what I can say. Etiogonijatathin. Because he has really a careful palping kubating banya kuno. And sometimes banya benefkuri deal with those leadership qualities, you consult, you speak with people. In Romo, you quite only be gijam do this, do that, in Shiroda isolate. Ting dun chatiag that will diarun chakatiag cheki yogal kanachipot, and they just look at you just to make you happy, then there is a problem. You really need in leadership, who can tell you off that you are wrong. you have done good, you have not done good, so that biga acting care filters the mun ka kang the me, so that you are able to know ongo ko podo ngo correct. You need time ke society, but chabalo sugi, but ingo jor ko bala panakim the same way lo nyan salpa kira at the moment dun salpa kira, so that but ingo jor sharp. Bolmel has lost that opportunity, but now your chance ever in his lifetime, you really need to know amure job and in a bang, because in a bang ko muke una jelo dinchi, you don't want to understand what is the suffering and affecting the people, then initial leader in Lebanon, and he has a lot of lessons he should learn from that.
Apetharit Bangkok, which are most we call I was there, Bangkok Mano, former chairperson of South Sudanese community in Victoria. Kuyen a lawyer by profession in Kadonena Luyentin, kuyen Ranji Dajban Biden, ku kate ku lui Junubin, ade ke lui ke volunteer ne London in a Luyen. On a one South Sudanese community, a lui rate, yani Londi di Chiloy, Kochene, I can bend the Chiloy, Gerin. Wake away copying with ya. Kakuan Kapana Geneva Sudan, I work, I am him to work. Kika him to work, I can get in Kapanda. Mane, Nachipanda, Benai, Brum can a ben, a crack at it. Kiman Kulur Mane, Shamala Sudan, Eben Kujelara Loik, you kekanim liap. Now, Kartuma Chiberi Kingaman. And this is a very devastated, but top rank. They in where na chakun na chiram kanon or grass in ke victim fa kapatarit eralo itang walk way monjang ran nyuche monjang ku monjang always through history ne tatawa monjang ku chien nyuch ke la bai chin ke ngadi chin ke lwe la chin koyo selo yen ngadi ko jarita ake nyuch akanot ba aba ga nyi wodya taban way junubin wodya acha ka bukwerin koto Nairobi man koto ne junub koto ne no to walk jiran ti nyuch ke bai edik kana le budil gam community de monjang ban ke good credit ko le budil gam bol mel ke good credit yada bi nyuch ku barer ke ne ka pegare panda junub Sudan ami ar ko red belalo panda junub Sudan ami ar ko red bel kay la twen ke be ke ka lo ben ko manok bu jal yo ke good night ku an be radio ba jalo tiek which about le kene TV de bor pan Australia ka jemo ka tina kula ka panda ka jemo ke la twen panda ka jemo ku jara crisis ke chiro lo panda ka jemo ke ran bu le jare e ban ko de no manene kamanda ne kula ci jam ne wari we bar ka le che de we ko dai we ko diang dai ka we le ke re ne tete ci we to wona wo je la ko ci commentawe ne ka je we yu ka le ne TV bor ke ne ye ne nin ka kane ka wa jam tin ne nin ka na lan ka chira lo ko wa jam ku ka de ka le we ke de wa che jam ko yo opposition wa che jam media is ka media woni ran ga jam kelang ran lu attack or kelang ran lu support or kelang ran yin jam community e wo kane jam kane jam ko bi aga ci wo kane leadership e ben ku ka ko join sometime ko yogle do ke jamal alang direction ya ka gam ne ko wona ben social media e kana yi ngada yelo yi leadership pa Australia yelo leadership mi bor yi ko loy ko ka yi ka join bi ko jalping keeping ka island den ayi ko loy ko ne ar ko red be panda bidil di ko nyar ko red wache banda ya kir mayadit wa kajwa na kir achan yen tonken 16 Mei e gora panda ku kachini buya opposition diso kuma ko waka lo yen ku ka gora panda an ran ben ke ran SPLM ran SPLA ran ken yen ke ran achan waka ka golen e gol city dai na golen city dai ka kalang ibudirio ku budira tungu chubrio e legacy onen lo roto no mading ne 16 Mei kana atoya ku way bor wadia cha go pingwar tuare red bell kilogul ku ka chin tangtung ben red bell or chin tangtung ben ko bur bikaya rebel or chin tangtung ben ko bur bika gat ko bi against akuma kana liu pan bur red bell I meet ke chin ngade ke muka etor muka bika tati ku bika bai bi atit ko fa kana atoya na kiro ngela kaide kana kuma na mungi ke tormu ilai or yuko mu madina kale bidilla ka kula kuma acha korba tor kana bayamu ne ngadi ne madina tor ay mu outside kana le bidilla ke kulekin aken gat ke warwari ko chol wel kuka kun ga wari ko jigel wel ba kir ma yadit e banya panda kir ma yadit ngat ko red be ka pet bialo pan e jinu Sudan which at home waba de chwa berba you wanna wake
Dani king ngot mo ko tin ye wong a tree a good me the me twa nya